that's in front of you guys. You don't have to worry about it for now. That's for later. But if you want to take notes on there, go ahead. It's fine. But the main use of the paper will be later on during the seminar. Okay, so here we are once again. Anyone remember my name? Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I missed your name. What was your name?
Paul.
Paul.
My name is Paul. Last name is Yoon. Y-O-N. Paul. Yoon. And today, before we introduce today's topic, here once more participants. Hello. Hello. Hi. Okay, last week our topic was what? Yes. And today we're going to talk about what? Self-esteem. What does that even mean? Okay, so here's a question. What pops up in your mind when you see the word self-confidence? What kind of image? Confidence. What else? Anyone? Self-esteem. What does it mean to you? That's my question. Can anyone define it? Saying more than confidence. Huh? Confidence in yourself. Okay. Huh? Prideful. Okay. Yeah?
The worth that you give yourself.
Worth that you give to yourself. Yes. A few more. A few more. Over here. Self-esteem. Yeah. Yeah. There was last time when I was giving this lecture in other church, there was this guy who said it's me. Self-esteem is just myself. But before we get into like the definition or anything, I want to say it is everything. Self-esteem is everything. Meaning it actually impacts every single aspect of your life. From, I would say, from your achievements to relationship to just general, like a quality of your life in general, in every single aspect of your life. Because, I mean, people usually don't like who doesn't like themselves. You know what I mean? There are people who's just like not confident, doesn't know what to do, and things like that. And then people usually don't get attracted to that type of person. But when you have like really confidence and you can actually show it in not so prideful manner, but in the right way, then people usually get really attracted to you. But not just that, but just life quality in general. It gets impacted by self-esteem in every different way possible. And good level of self-esteem comes from knowing who you truly are. It's not something that's complicated. It's not adding like fake identity to yourself. It is just about coming to full realization that awareness, who you really are actually. And that message that you get about ourselves, whether it comes from inside or outside, and it usually gets distorted a lot, right? Because it's not just us who's giving us the message, right? Who else talks about us? Other people, like who? Usually friends. Who else? Family, parents, siblings, neighbors. They knock on your door and say, "You are like this." Neighbors. Who? I mean, the culture itself actually labels people in certain ways, right? So a lot of things actually distort our perspective and evaluation on who we truly are, and often in a very negative way. I want to do like a homework check. I gave you guys homework last week. What was the homework?
20.
Yeah, list of good things about yourself. Has anyone done it? Especially you weren't here, you had to do it.
No excuse.
Okay, can anyone say 5 things about yourself that's really good? Just brag about yourself. And I'm gonna pick somebody, you. 5 things.
I like to go outside.
You like to play outside, that's good.
I like to skateboard.
Skateboard,
I like to
play
play
sports, music.
Is that boring?
4. Oh, huh?
I like jackets.
Okay. And it's all like, why is it so passive, everything? I like this, I like this. Are you good at any of them? Okay, yeah. So you can say, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, rather than just saying, I like this, I like that. You can be a little more active. What about someone else? 5 things, you can easily just list it. Among the people who weren't here last week. That means you. Yeah. No. Yeah. 5 things. Yeah, that's good.
Smart.
Oh, okay. Now I kind of regret, like, yeah, having him doing it.
I don't know.
Come on, you gotta have at least 3 more.
I'm nice.
Okay, then is somebody else's approval, right? Yeah. 2 more.
Oh, I play the instrument. I play an instrument.
What instrument? Bass. Bass. You and I can be friends. Because I play bass.
I'm not that good.
I'm not that good. I'm actually good. Go ahead. The 5th one. Okay. 저기 어머니들 중에 한 분 좀 스스로의 자랑을 좀 해보세요. 아버님인지 뭘 잘하시고 자신에 대해서 뭘 좋다고 생각하시는지. 괜찮아요. 뭐 사람들이 뭐 웃기밖에 더 하겠어요. 말씀해 줄 수 있는 분 한 번만 해주세요. 3개만. 네.
블로그 하는 거 좋아하고
블로그 잘하시고, 네.
사진 찍는 거 좋아하고
사진 찍는 거 좋아하시고,
메이크업 하는 거 좋아하고
메이크업 하시는 거 2개 더 하죠.
그리고 옷 같은 거 싼 옷을 이렇게 매치해서 입는 거 좋아하고
그리고 패션 센스도, 네.
그리고 음악 듣는 거
음악 듣는 거 좋아하시고, 네, 좋습니다. 근데 이걸 저희가 이렇게 막 시키면 다들 문제가 많이들 바로바로 이게 안 나와요. 아이들도, right? So, like I asked, because you look like you have a lot of good things in you. You too. But you have to think, that's the problem, you know? Because we don't really know, because we've actually never said that things to ourselves, so we don't really know. That's the problem, because there are a lot of things here and there, obstacles that that gets you down, right? But sometimes we are not resilient enough, meaning we don't really have these backup things that we can tell ourselves to get us actually get back on our feet, because we need this time to think about it, because we don't really know about ourselves. So let's actually talk about some things that you can do to get this increase our self-esteem. Where should we start? What's the number 1 step we need to do to resolve a problem? any problem, what do we need to do first?
Brainstorm.
No?
Find the problem.
Before all that,
Think about the facts.
Find
think about what?
The facts.
The facts? What facts?
The situation. what happened.
Situation. I think the first step is realizing that there is a problem, right? Don't you agree? There is a problem. Unless we think it as a problem, we're not going to solve it, right? So first thing is realizing that there is a problem. And the first step in increasing our self-esteem is managing your inner thoughts. Because this inner thought guy is pretty messed up usually, right? Because we tell a lot of bad things to ourselves, but we don't really realize that there is a problem in our thoughts. What are the thoughts that you guys usually have about yourself? Let's say I have a lot of thoughts about myself that's not really good. I mean, like, I weigh about 230 pounds. You know, when you go to like, what is it? Doctor, they measure your height and your weight and all that. You know, and they have like a formula, right? BMI, things like that, and then they kind of measure like up to like what is healthy. You know, I'm sure it's not like your age plus 200 pounds, right? Because that's where I'm at. My age plus 200 pounds. But you know, that actually gets me down sometimes. Oh, I'm like big, you know. And sometimes I look at my mirror and say, oh man, I don't look so good. I say things like that. And when I'm driving, sometimes I get angry at people, you know. And I tell myself, oh, like, I get so angry often, you know, things like that. Because like all those little things in life tells us automatically a lot of bad stuff. This inner thought is pretty messed up. So what can we do about it? What can we do to our inner thought? Have you guys ever heard this term called CBT? Take a wild guess what CBT is. It's a psychology term. If you get this right, you can leave.
Control brain tumor.
Control brain tumor, okay. That's actually a pretty important task if you actually have a tumor. But what is it? It's a psychology therapy term.
Does it start with cognitive?
Yes.
Cognitive behavioral theory. Test.
Okay. She gets to stay. Because she's almost right, but not fully. Cognitive, behavioral. I thought I had to make you leave, but it's therapy. Cognitive behavior. It's the most actually popular way of doing therapy these days. I use this a lot in my when I practice because this is the only way the county give us money, right? Because I mean we have to change the behavior in order to prove them that this patient is better, and they give us money. So cognitive behavior therapy. What's cognitive? What's a cognition? What's the cognition? What is it? Your thoughts, right? Your thoughts. And behavior is a behavior, right? How you do stuff, how you act, right? And what do you think then is the process of cognitive behavior therapy is like? Let's say somebody comes in with depression. How can we do cognitive behavior therapy on that person? No? Take a wild guess. Cognitive, right? It means you're thinking. This approach tries to change how you think about things, right? So that it can impact your behaviors, your emotions, your moods, right? like, because depression is a mood disorder, and when we use CBT for depression, that means we try to work with how they think about a lot of stuff, what's happening in their life, so that it will actually go ahead and impact their mood, so that their mood can go up, so that they're not going to be depressed anymore, right? And studies find that this approach actually changes your brain structure too, because sometimes like your brain is structured in a way that it gives you a lot of negative thoughts, but once you do this enough, it somehow kind of changes so that you can think more positively in an easier way. So, having said that, how can this change our self-esteem? How can we change ourselves? Because self-esteem is made up of our thoughts, right? Our feelings and opinions that we have about ourselves. So that means self-esteem is not actually fixed. It's not fixed in one place. It can always change when your thoughts are changed. So try to notice things that you say to yourself. What are the things? Like I said, I say all these things to myself. And would you actually say some of those things to your best friend? Like I go up to my friend and say, "You're fat." Would I say that? That's so inappropriate. But I say it to myself all the time. That's messed up. I treat my friends really nicely, right? I go in and say, "Oh, you're good. Let's go out and eat together." But I say to myself, looking at the mirror, "You're fat." I mean, that's a really horrible treatment, right? But I do that every single day. Before I take shower, after I take shower, whenever I go to the bathroom to wash my hands. Automatically my brain just shouts it out. Then that needs some kind of an intervention. I need to actually intervene. That's not me. No. That's just who you are. Okay? I have a lot of other things that I'm much better at than these all skinny people. You know? That includes eating, right? Because I enjoy the food intake to my body, right? And I mean, also think about what are your weaknesses, right? Think about them a lot, right? These are my weaknesses. Because when I tell people to like say, what are you guys are good at? Then they have a hard time talking about it. And I ask, what are your weaknesses? They can talk all day, right? I'm bad at this, and people say I'm bad at this, and blah, 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 blah. But think about your weaknesses, because they bother you a lot, because you think of it as a problem. But after thinking about that, also ask yourself, are they really your weaknesses? You've been thinking that it was a weakness, but are they really your weakness? Or can it be just one of the main traits that you have? And also, even if it is a weakness, does it matter that much that it is a weakness? Because I tend to break a lot of stereotypes, because I'm an Asian, you know, so people automatically think that I am good at certain things like math, which I'm never good at. So when I was in high school, like my math teachers were looking at me really like strangely. I mean, you should be. I mean, come on, right? But I have like a history of failing math classes. I mean, it's just something it's not for me. That's why I chose psychology. You know why I chose psychology in the first place? There was a very distinct reason that I chose it. Because I only had to take one math class out of entire 6 years of college and grad school. Only one, and it was called Nature of Math. You know what it is? Plus, minus, division, multiplication, geometry, that was it. They teach that in college. And have you actually seen this one crazy professor who does like an April Fool's thing on on the screen, and then he interacts with the screen. Have you seen that? He was my nature of math professor, by the way. But so yeah, so that was one of the big reasons I chose psychology, because I liked reading, and I mean, thinking about how people think. But math, like sine, cosine, tangent, those were just buttons in my calculator. That's it. They don't mean anything to me. Because my math teacher was explaining, you get to use it when you're building structures and all that. And I'm not going to build structures, right? Because people might say that it is my weakness. I go like, is it really? Does it matter to me? No. Then the best thing is to let it not hurt me, right? So just changing your thinking inside your thoughts. So managing your inner thought is the first one. Second, one of the biggest reasons people lose their self-esteem is when they fail. But why do you fail? Sometimes. Why do you fail?
Not good enough.
That's the usual answer. Because you're not good enough. But most of the times, it's because you didn't set the right goal. Right? Because it was just not realistic. Right? And sometimes you set up a goal, you think you failed, because, you don't know how, you actually don't have any measurements to find out if you succeed or not, right? So that's why the paper is in front of you. For setting up a right goal. And that requires some steps. The goals needs to be smart. What does that mean? Smart goal. We call it smart goal. And I'm gonna write it down for you. So smart. Whenever a client comes in to receive counseling, we set up goals, right? They come in and say, I'm depressed. But 6 months down the line, how are we gonna find out if that person becomes better? How are we gonna find out? How can you say a depressed person got better? How can you say that? What are the measurements? So how can we determine the improvement?
Smiling.
Just smiling? Just appearing to the session smiling?
goals,
Huh?
goals.
Yeah. What kind of goals that we need to set up? Yeah, SMART goals, right? With every single client, we set up a SMART goal. And it goes like this. S, specific. The goals needs to be very specific. Okay? Write this down, specific. M,
Manager.
that's down here. No, you should say the same thing.
Measurable.
Measurable, right? A.
Attainable.
No, she knows her stuff. R.
Responsible.
It is similar to manageable. R.
Reachable.
Reachable, in other words.
Realistic.
Realistic. Both needs to be realistic, right? Me getting an A in a math class is not realistic. Like a B minus is a realistic. T. Table?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. What's T? Time bound. Huh? Time bound, meaning you need to set up a certain time frame. I'm gonna reach this goal achieve this goal within 6 months from now, right? That's what we do. So, for example, with the depressed client, we set up goals like, we have to set up behavioral goal. Things like, the client will attend social gatherings, increase their social gatherings from 0 time to 3 or 4 times a week by 6 months into the treatment. Things like that. It needs to be very specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound, so that we can actually set up a goal we can achieve, right? And we know how to achieve. So now, exercise. Set up one goal for your summer. That's very smart. Go. Go. For your summer. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. If it's something like, I'm gonna go learn guitar, that's not smart goal, right? What can be a smart goal? Huh? Lose weight, yeah, I'm going to lose weight up to, okay, let's say I'm 230, but by the 3 months in, I'm gonna lose weight down to 150. That's not realistic. That's not attainable, right? But I don't know, about 205 is realistic, right? So things like that. So something that you can actually achieve. Go. Like your own goals. And you can, and you will really achieve in your summer vacation. By the end of summer vacation. Or it can be by the end of the year. I don't know. Doesn't matter. You 2 to 3 more minutes. Okay. See, it requires practice because I'm gonna explain all this and just skip the exercise. You're just gonna go set up a unsmart goal. So. What's the smart goal? I'm going to start with myself. My goal. I'm going to read 5 books by the end of July. And it's going to be a non-fiction book. Because I don't like reading fiction books. So if I set up a goal like I'm going to read fiction book, that's not realistic because I'm not going to read. I know I'm not going to read. Fiction is a fake story. Things like Lord of the Rings. Things like Harry Potter. I don't even watch those movies because those are. So, what are your goals? In the back. Yes.
I'm gonna finish my summer assignment
Summer assignments
by
by
June 20th.
June 20th. Specific date. I like that. How about back there? Yes.
I'm gonna learn a new piano piece.
Huh?
I'm gonna learn a new piano piece
What will that be?
by the end of the year.
I mean, like what's gonna be that music? You haven't decided yet. Okay, that's good. And in here? Yeah. Books? How many? 5. Like the same thing as me. Yeah, okay. It's gonna be non-fiction? Huh? Just saying. Okay. How about here?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you stand up a lot. Yeah.
To be able to squat
400 pounds. But I don't really exercise. I don't really go to the gym, so I don't know how heavy that is actually. Is it realistic for him? Possible? Impossible? Okay. So he disapproves your smartness of your goal.
I do 320 right now.
320, 400, but so that's 80 pounds more. That's like 80 pounds of steak. How much is that? Okay. But if you say so, yeah. And over here, I don't know her name. Yeah. 3 books by end of summer vacation. Okay. No more books, okay? Here. Well, okay. Okay. What do you mean by play drums well? Huh? It's not measurable. Because somebody sees you playing and then some people will say, oh, he didn't really achieve it. Some other person will say, oh, he did. So what's make it measurable? Okay. Play without errors.
That's an automatic.
Okay. I mean, how about like a picking a song or things like that can help make it measurable too. Okay? Because I'm not just talking about like the drumming itself, I'm talking about how can we make your goal smart, right? So, okay, that's good. How about you? Finish studying SAT, just like mastering it. Okay. Okay, how about you? No books. No more books. Stop reading books. Okay, minimize the use of electronic devices down to 1 hour a day. Okay. Okay. Somebody claps in the back.
Very good.
Okay. Okay. I mean, at least you are. I mean, yeah, trying. That's good.
Lose 80 pounds.
Okay.
To 200.
Huh?
Get it down to 200.
200. Okay. Yeah, that's realistic. Yeah. How about you in the back? 네, 괜찮습니다. 한국어로 해도.
하모니카하고 마스터.
하모니카. 좋습니다. 하모니카. 나도 하모니카 잘 부르고 싶은데 잘 안 되더라고요. 그림 아시면 먼지 들어오고 잘 못하겠어요. 자, 좋습니다. 그리고 안 한 사람 누구죠? 여기. 다 시키구만 내가.
Passing summer class.
How do you prepare for cross country?
Run 5 days out of the week.
Like how many miles a day?
It's not like, or I don't measure by miles, I measure by
All time.
45.
45. Okay. How about gentleman in the back? You. Draw better. Okay. Let's make it measurable. How can somebody tell that you draw better now? How can you know that you draw better than them? Those are the things that needs to be in your goal, like certain things, not just better or not just more, but it has to be specific, something that you can measure. So who did I miss? I think I missed you. Your goals. Any goals? Not really? No. Okay, in the back. Two handsome guys. What do you want to do during the summer? Okay, it looks like they're gonna just hide and thing. Okay, so you guys get it? Smart, specific, measurable. Because I mean, unless we have the SMART goal, we don't really know if we achieved it or not, and we get to actually kind of take in other people's expectation as our goal, right? Because people say what they are expecting of me, us, and then somehow that becomes our goal. Like even though it's totally not our thing, right? So if you don't really spend your time, investing your time on building your own SMART goal, might also fall under that trap of doing the living other people's expectations, because that's the big no. Because people tell you to do this and this and this and this and that, but but sometimes those are good advices. Follow some of them if they are really good, but that by itself is not you. So you need to have a time to explore yourself. Okay, three. There is no perfect things in this world. Because what do you think this means? This means everything comes at a price, right? Everything comes at a price. Even the things that people call as success, it comes at a price. But a success to this one person can totally be a failure to some other person. You know what I mean? Because people have wrong idea about success. They have this uniform, just one single way idea of what success is, but that idea can make your life very miserable. Low self-esteem, because just like the things that I was saying, the other people's expectation, right? They expect you to be a certain way, right? Not just your parents, but I mean this culture, right? As an Asian male, we gotta be something, right? What are the things that we are expected to be? A doctor, right? Because the demand I got a lot from my relative, not my immediate family. They already knew that I'm not gonna listen to them. But then my relative, they all like, oh, Paul, he's not gonna be a doctor. He's not smart enough. Let's settle as engineers. But what does engineers do all day? Math, right? So I was like, no, right? Because for to them, becoming an engineer is a success, because it's a lot of money. You don't necessarily have to go to grad school, right? And all that. So it's like, you graduate college, and then you make a living with a really high pay, doing very respectable job as an engineer. That's good, if that's what is for you. But for me, it wasn't really the thing, right? So success to one person can be a very miserable life for another person. So come out of the norm. Come out of the norm. Okay? Come out of the norm and have this time to think about who you truly are. Okay, think about who you truly are and reflect on what you are really into and what's actually going well for you. Not the problems, not all those weaknesses or things like that, but think about what's actually going well for you. Because those are actually going to be the things that you're gonna make a living out of. That's what I always tell the parents who comes into my clinic to get a counseling from. They say, "Oh, they're not good at this, and that." And then what are they? They're good at what? What do they like? When they, I mean, if they are doing these things that you expect them to do, I mean, they really get bored. Then what are the things that they love spending time on, like hours of time on? What are those things? Because eventually those are gonna be the things that they're gonna, I mean, utilize to make their living. So finding out who you truly are is really important thing because, I mean, because you're already good at it, right? There's a higher chance of becoming very successful at that part because, I mean, that's been already going really well for you. Next one. Do you guys watch Korean shows?
Yeah.
Korean TV shows? There's this Korean TV show called 비정상회담. Have you seen them? What is it called in English? Is it a non-summit? Things like 비정상회담. It's a
Abnormal summit.
abnormal summit. That actually makes sense. So can somebody explain what it is? 비정상회담. If you have seen it, what is it? It's a show where a lot of foreign guys from foreign country other than Korea, they gather in this one place. Like there are people from Belgium, UK, Germany, China, Japan, Australia, like Ghana, right? And then they all gather and they always choose a topic and they talk really freely about what they think about the topic. But what fascinates me is that it goes really well. They talk about, I mean, they attack each other sometimes with like their opinions and all that, but at the end, they're totally fine. You know why it fascinated me? Because that doesn't usually happen in Korea. After the debate, they usually don't see each other, right? Because usually the Korean formula is you equal your opinion. So if somebody disagrees with your opinion, then what happens? They disagree with you as a whole person, meaning they disapprove of you. They think they disapprove of you, so they just go on in their own way. They don't talk to each other. But then, in that show, I mean, they really disagree with each other a lot. And at the end, they just go hand in hand, singing song together, going out to eat together, usually, right? I think that's more of like a Western thing, right? I mean, I have this opinion, you have that opinion. Okay, I see. Let's go eat together. Things like that. So, I mean, you and your opinion is two different things, right? Do you agree? I mean, tell me if you agree with this or not. You are the collection of your opinions. Some of your opinions. Are you? Your opinions all added together, does it make entire you? No, right? But sometimes when we find other people disagreeing with our opinions, we take it as an insult, a lot of times, and use that as criticism toward ourselves as a whole. But that doesn't have to be. the two different things. You are you, and your opinions are your opinions. And there will always be somebody who's going to disagree with you, right? So it's a matter of how comfortable you can be around people you disagree with. I mean, I grew up in church from birth. I grew up in church. And it's not something that I should say in the church, but we are the worst people at doing it, right? We can't really stand difference, right? We have to be all the same, right? We have to believe in the same thing, we have to be the same and all that community, right? But then there are some good things in it because, I mean, we believe in the truth and, I mean, good things. But then we lost a lot of respect. Like when we actually go out and when we are talking to other people, because we tend to actually force our thoughts a lot. I shouldn't say we, but some Christians. So I don't know, because we do that and sometimes other people do that to us. And then we get really depressed sometimes. Some people disagree with us and we go like, I mean, are we really wrong? That's the question that that's the question that we give to us. Are we wrong? You know, rather than asking us, we're just different, right? So differences doesn't necessarily mean wrong all the time. So take pride in expressing your opinions and ideas. This is what I really struggled with when I first came to the United States. Because in the classroom I was just like, not saying anything because what if the teacher doesn't like what I say? That's always in my head. What if it is wrong? But I find all my friends just raising their hands, talking about all the answers that I think is very not good answers. But they just say it in real confidence. And everybody seems to be really okay with it. It took me a while to actually be fully adjusted to that culture. But I mean, you should take pride in your opinions and ideas, not like in a very prideful, like arrogant way. But I mean, you say your ideas, somebody doesn't agree, okay. If somebody agrees, great. If somebody doesn't, what's the problem, right? So keeping that attitude is, I think, one of the important keys. So differentiate you from your thoughts, and you are not the collection of your thoughts. Next one. We have two more. Does anybody have hard time accepting compliments? Yeah? What's your reaction usually when someone say like, oh, you're great at this? What's your usual response to it? Yeah?
I know.
I know. Does anyone respond differently? This is how usual Korean conversation goes. Okay? 너 정말 그거 너무 잘하셨어요. 아니에요. No, I just not. Right? They just that's always a gesture. Right? But what can we just accept it as it is, right? But we always ask this I mean, he's probably lying, you know? Things like that. He's just saying that to make me feel better. Right? Right? He says that to everyone. Right? That's usually not true, because usually when people compliment, there is some truth to it. So that's why they're complimenting. And also, like, if okay, let's say if he really just says that to everyone. Let's say if he's probably lying. If he's actually saying that to make you feel better, so what? Why does that matter? Right? Okay, if he does that, then okay, he does that. But I'm just gonna take the compliment. Okay, right? Why not? You just say thanks. And inside you say, I know. Right? Okay? But if you do it the other way, that's a problem. Right? If somebody say, oh, you're really good at playing the guitar. I know. And say thanks inside, that's a problem. But you say thank you and say I know inside. Okay? So being able to accept compliments, but it's actually a lot of people find it really difficult, right? Like I said. So I actually heard really like weird responses to compliments too. When I said, oh, you're really good at something, some people said, no, I'm actually better at this thing. What is that? You know? And later on, I got to actually talk to that person, and I found out that from young age, he's never actually received a compliment before that much from the parents. So he actually doesn't know how to respond to it. So he just says anything that pops up in his head. So every time his response is different. So, but then regularly we just say thank you, right? But then, I mean, a lot of people have really hard time doing that. So if you are saying something different, or if you are actually not being able to accept it, that's something, that's the area that needs some changes. Just accept it, right? Just accept it. And then take the compliment and say thanks. That's all there is to it. And then think about that compliment, not just, don't like interpret it, what it means, but just think about what they're complimenting on and just make it your own. Okay, so when we're saying CBT, what was B again? Behavior, right? We talk a lot about how we can change our thinking, but now it's the behavior part. What can you do? How can you change your behavior to increase your self-esteem? That's, I guess, my question. Any behaviors that has nature of giving to it. A lot of giving behaviors, right? Because by giving, what you are doing is you are contributing, right, to someone or something that's other than you, right? And I don't know about you, but that actually gives me like a lot of self worth. Well, actually, I'm contributing through my work. I'm contributing to other people's life in a really good way. I make people less depressed. I make people focus better when they have ADHD, like I do. I make people, generally happier as a therapist. That's what I do, and I take a lot of pride in it, right? And I go like this all the time when I go home, like when I'm driving. Yeah, that was good today. Right? A lot of that. I guess that's why I chose this job, because there is a lot of giving part. But sometimes like I feel a need to receive too. So that's where I need a lot of self-care on. But giving is a very good feeling, and it gives you a lot of high level of self-worth. So what are the things that you guys do that's actually giving? What are the things that you do? What do you give to others, to the church, to the society, to the community? Huh? Help people with their homework, okay? But don't let them abuse it, okay? How about others? Your time? You give your time to who?
Church.
Church, okay. How about you? What do you give? Huh? You love, okay. Alright, you love. Yeah. So how many girls a day? Actually that's really profound. Very philosophical too. You give your love. How should I interpret this? Is it more of a agape type of love, the unconditional love, or is it more of like a romantic love? Okay, all combined, I guess. Okay, what do you give? What do you want to give? Help? Okay, should we go back to SMART goal? Help? Okay. Help with what? Okay. Giving hearts. Okay. One more person. Yeah.
I really wanna give laughing and smile.
Laughing and
But
smiling.
it's hard.
And you just did. Because I'm smiling now. Right? That's really important. Right? Because you're thinking, cognition and behavior, it works mutually with each other. It's not just one way, it's both ways, right? Sometimes you think about happy things and you laugh. Sometimes you laugh, so you're happy, right? It complements each other and then it works together, your cognition and behavior. So, any act of giving, helping, making a contribution to a good cause, they are all powerful self-esteem boosters. And if you know that you're contributing to a good cause, that helps you to be aware of who you truly are, because you're actually providing a lot to people other than you. And last one. This one actually I didn't want to say it because I'm not doing it. But really important thing that we recommend to any client is exercising. But I didn't want to say it because I don't do it. But you guys should do it, right? Exercising. Because humans are not just psychological, right? There is a biological aspect to it. There is a psychological aspect to it. There is a social aspect to it. And there is also a spiritual aspect to it, right? My work is doing psychological. But biological things are really important too, right? Sometimes you need a lot of good chemicals in your brain in order for you to feel much better about yourself. And usually the chemicals get produced by you moving a lot, you exercising, all those serotonins and dopamines and all that. It comes out when you are actually moving your body a lot, exercising, not like me just sitting, just food intake and all that. So exercising is the key to actually better take care of your biological aspect of your life.
When do we go to 8?
Oh, I didn't actually write down the numbers, but on my notes it was 8, so I just wrote it. So, exercising. Okay? Alright, so like I said, review. 4 aspects of you as a whole. What are the aspects? Biological. Hmm? Psychological. Spiritual. Social. So when all this gets taken care of, you become a healthy being. But if you're lacking in one of these, or 2 of these, or 3 of these, and 4 all of these, that's when the self-esteem gets down, and you become a unhealthy being. So always think about how can we better take care of ourselves in all these areas. You guys come to church, and then you do a lot of spiritual work. I think your church is really taking care of you well in the spiritual part. And how are you doing in So how are you doing social? School, friends. Some friends are a douche, but there are a lot of other friends too. So don't focus on the problems. Focus on the people you should care about. Yeah. And also psychological. Your thinking, your mind, your mood, and biological, your body, right? Not just outer appearance, but what's going on inside here gets determined by this really good habits that you have to better take care of your body. So all these combined boost your self-esteem up, and then you get to enjoy a bit more exciting and a bit more healthy and a bit more interesting and a bit more confident life. Alright, so that's the official end. I'm gonna take some questions. Questions? 질문 있으신 분 하셔도 됩니다. Speaking of biological, this is how. You know what this is?
Breathing sign on the measure.
Huh?
Quotation.
No, this is the brain. It's a spinal cord, and then this is not here. This is your limbic system. Have you heard limbic system? Limbic system is your emotional brain. That's where your desire to eat, desire to, desire to have sex. Those things come out, your desires and all your wants come out here, emotional, or your anger, and all these animal-like things come out of your limbic system. And this is where our executive brain is, in the front. What is it called?
Frontal lobe.
Yeah, prefrontal lobe. In Korean, what is it? The moms should know. 여기가 뭐죠? 전으로 시작해, 전. 전두엽이에요, 전두엽. Okay. This is where it processes your thinking. So all your desires, right? I want to go punch his face, right? That comes out of here. But what stops this emotion is this brain. No, if you punch his face, what are the consequences? Think about it. You shouldn't do it. This brain tells you to stop it, right? Because it's the control tower. So it's like on the airport, there's always those towers. Tells you, the weather is bad, so you shouldn't land, right? But if you ignore and land, you might crash, right? So this is the executive control tower brain. And I told you guys about all these chemicals like serotonin and all these. It comes out here, right? Which means it clears your thinking when you exercise, right? Because this brain gets more active, right? But if this brain is inactive, what happens? You become a what? You become an animal, because this shuts down. You are no different than the cat walking by, because cat's actually smart. But this emotional brain, executive brain. So that's why this brain needs to be active. That means you have to exercise. That's how you make it active. And also, I'm sure you feel a lot about why can't I actually suppress all these desire to get angry and all that, because this brain is not fully developed in your age. Back then, we thought it gets fully developed at about age of 18. But now we have better medical what is it? Testing gears, like scanning devices, such as MRI and stuff. So for the past 20 years, there has been a lot of studies and found out that this brain gets developed until when? 25 to 30 years of age. So it is very natural, especially parents, okay? 15살 아이들이 되게 막 감정이 많고 해야 될 거 잘 안 하고 자기 원하는 것만 하고 그러는 거 생물학적으로 어느 정도 그렇게 돼 있어요. 그러니까 다 이렇게 어른들처럼 다 이렇게 뭐라 그럴까 좀 맞는 것만 이렇게 딱 찾아서 뭐 하려고 하는 그런 마음보다는 아직까지 여기서 나오는 감정들이 훨씬 더 세기 때문에 그런 거를 좀 이해를 해주셔야 오히려 이 브레인이 더 발전이 잘 돼요. 그렇죠? 좀 알아주고 그래야 아이들이 조금 기분도 좋고 그래야 좋은 케미칼들이 나오죠. 그래서 여기에 계속 발전을 잘 하니까 그런 부분 좀 알아주시고 아이들이 가끔씩 얘는 왜 도대체 이런 짓을 하나 느끼실 때가 있을 거예요. 왜 도대체 왜 이런 바보 같은 결정을 하냐. 왜냐하면 여기가 아직은 덜 발달했어요. 그러니까 컨트롤 타워에 20년 된 기장 했던 사람이 앉아있는 게 아니라 인턴이 와서 아직 앉아있어요. 그러니까 이게 아직 컨트롤이 잘 안 되는 거거든요. 그러니까 그런 부분들도 좀 같이 생각을 해주시면 참 좋을 것 같습니다. 그래서 아까 그 케미컬 얘기가 나왔는데 그냥 자세하게 얘기를 안 하고 넘어가는 것 같아서 조금 더 부연 설명을 해드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.